Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Nick Ball defeats TJ Doheny by a 10th round stoppage. Of course, Nick Ball defending his WBA featherweight title. Going in, I think we expected Nick Ball to win. TJ Doheny's been a good fighter over the years in the super bantamweight division. He came up in weight in this fight, although he was still the bigger man. But, you know, Doheny's 38 years old, had a relatively hard career, been a world champion himself, of course, back in the day. But, you know, at this point in time, he's kind of seen better days. But, you know, still tricky to a certain degree, as he showed in his previous fight against Naoya Inoue. And early on in this fight, TJ Doheny out of that southpaw stance was a little tricky for Nick Ball. You know, using that experience, using the side-to-side movement, backing up, taking the sting of Nick Ball's punches. First sort of 4 rounds, I felt TJ Doheny did a pretty good job. I actually scored him the first round and the 4th round. I gave those rounds to TJ Doheny. First round, I felt, you know, both guys were seeing it out kind of thing, feeling each other out. Ball had a couple of flurries, but I felt that TJ Doheny was dictating the range a little better, picking better single punches. He was throwing like a straight left hand, right hook to the body combination, which landed a few times throughout round 1. And yeah, I felt that round 1, Doheny picked better shots. At the end of round 1, there was a moment where Doheny kind of held Nick Ball in a headlock after the round ended, and he kept on holding, and then Nick Ball basically just kicked him in the back of the legs. But yeah, and TJ Doheny early on was trying to make it that sort of fight. He was trying to old man Nick Ball kind of thing, trying to frustrate him. And you know, in the first 4 rounds, you know, there were a few moments where Nick Ball looked a little frustrated, but not to the point to where, you know, it looked like it was going to go wrong. Rounds 3 and 4 were close nip and tuck rounds, but I felt that the work rate of Nick Ball won him those rounds. More flurries, more punches in bunches. Some of the work was messy, but he was just throwing a lot more than TJ Doheny. Again, Doheny was landing some decent single shots, a couple of good right hooks to the body here and there out of a southpaw stance. But he couldn't really match the work rate of Nick Ball. Round 4 was, I felt, the last round where Doheny won the round. Again, kind of similar to round 1. You know, picking the good straight left hands, looping left hands out of a southpaw stance. Again, also planting some good right hooks to the body. Some good punch picking by Doheny in round 4. But after round 4, this fight really was one-way traffic, to be honest with you. And after round 4, it was the typical Nick Ball performance. Work rate, aggression, smothering, swarming, mauling. And round by round, you could see the energy just drain from Doheny. One thing I was impressed with after round 4 was Nick Ball was jabbing really well against Doheny, against the southpaw. After round 4, Nick Ball was more effective with his jab, really stepping in with that jab, and sometimes even countering with a jab as well. It was like a shotgun counter jab. And yeah, you could tell that Doheny was getting more uncomfortable. He was starting to spoil a little bit, holding on at times, using the forearm to get Nick Ball off. Trying to survive, really, you know. And again, he would throw here and there, he would land a shot here and there, but nothing to really get the respect of Nick Ball. Round 6 was a big round for Nick Ball. Hurt Doheny a couple of times with right hands. It looked like the legs went for a brief moment for Doheny, but he got through it and saw out the rounds. You know, and again, Nick Ball really was having his own way with Doheny. There was a couple of times where he literally threw him to the ground and actually got a point deducted from the referee, which I felt was rightful. I felt it was the correct decision because he blatantly threw Doheny on the ground. Not that he needed to, I think he was just taking liberties, really. He was dominating the fight by this point. And yeah, round 10 came. Nick Ball put an absolute beating on Doheny, working hard to the body. He hurt Doheny a couple of times to the body, actually, in round 10. Spamming the uppercuts. He landed a treble uppercut in the clinch. Just landing a series of short punches, really beating up Doheny on the inside. And Doheny really, again, was just holding, mauling. He would try and throw back here and there, showing good bravery in round 10 because he was done. He was spent. No energy. He was feeling the punches. His eye was badly swollen. He had taken a beating by this point, but he was still trying to a degree. He was still trying, but at the end of round 10 ends, and TJ Doheny's corner pull him out. And I think, all things considered, it was the right decision. Doheny's 38 years old, and at that point in time, watching the fight, you saw no way where he could win. It wasn't like there was moments where he was landing great shots and getting Ball's respect here and there. Ball was just walking through what Doheny had at this point. So he was never going to land one perfect shot to turn it around or anything like that. So yeah, I felt it was the right decision by Doheny's corner, and I think Doheny now should retire. Had a good career, probably overachieved. Being a world champion at super bantamweight. So yeah, it is what it is. But Nick Ball defends his title, his featherweight title. We'll see what he does next. I want to see a unification fight now for Nick Ball. If you look at his division, you have Angelo Leo, who is the IBF champion, if I'm not mistaken. You've got Stephen Fulton, who's the WBC champion. And you have Rafael Espinoza, who is the WBO champion. I'm all good with any one of those fights, but stylistically, Leo versus Ball is a great fight. They're all great fights, because I think Nick Ball against all of those guys I mentioned, the styles gel. Leo would be a war, Rafael Espinoza would be a war, and Fulton likes to mix it up as well, Stephen Fulton. All of those are great fights, but there's also talks of Inoue coming up towards the end of the year to fight Nick Ball as well. So Nick Ball has options. We'll see what he does next, but one thing I can guarantee, it's going to be exciting. So yeah, Nick Ball defends his title, decent enough performance, and we'll see what he does next. Being your guy Del Boy, peace.